Morning, all. All right, so news of the day and the previews in here as well, because there's just the two games tonight. So, this morning, Pittsburgh's making news for signing Yannick Weber. Before he can join the team, he has to go through league waivers. So, that's the thing. And so he is on waivers, and I don't think it's a coincidence that last night Dumoulin got hurt, meaning that Pittsburgh's depth on defense takes another hit. Weber's a decent fill-in, third pairing guy, but not a top four. Pittsburgh still needs more help on the blue line, especially with all the injuries that have just absolutely decimated that lineup. So we'll see what happens. San Jose has Jacob Middleton on waivers. I don't think he ends up getting taken. Much like Patterson was on waivers a couple days ago, he didn't get taken either. So yeah, Middleton, he's on waivers for San Jose. I don't think he ends up getting taken, like I said. But we'll see. There's a lot of players clearing, like Tyler Ennis cleared as well. It's weird, too, because Ennis had a pretty good year last year, and this year, no. And it just shows that from year to year, it can be really hard to predict how things are going to go. Apparently, Laine's in Ottawa dealing with the U.S. consulate and trying to get all the paperwork done so he has his U.S. work visa in order. Pierre LeBrun's speculating that's probably done today, which would mean he's off to the Columbus Blue Jackets and joins the team, and then goes through whatever protocol when he gets there. But yeah, so Roslovic and Laine should both be in the Columbus lineup soon. We'll see what that does for their attack. I'm thinking it's going to help it a lot. And it'll be exciting to see what happens with that team. And I can't remember the last time I said something being exciting happening with Columbus. I guess the trade deadline where they picked everybody up that then made their exit. Vince Dunn is on the block. He was a healthy scratch last night for St. Louis. There will be a lot of interest in Dunn. And if they were holding him out of the lineup, that means there's likely a deal that's close. So I would not be surprised to see Dunn traded before their next game. We'll see. I would think Jim Benning would be making that call. The Canucks don't have any cap space, but he only makes $1.8 million. And the Canucks blue line has, of course, been decimated. Pittsburgh would probably be making that call as well. There will be no shortage of suitors. So this may be a matter of Doug Armstrong deciding now's the perfect time to pull the trigger because of the amount of injuries going on around the National Hockey League. And in Vancouver, this is something that's starting to become a thing in local media. The lame duck coach, Travis Green. And the Canucks not getting a deal done with him before this season. And the whole lame duck coach thing, I've really never thought it's necessarily that big of a deal, but I can understand why for the coach behind the bench it is, because you don't have certainty of a contract for the next season. And there's a certain amount of sway that a coach will have with the players if they know he's not going anywhere. But there have been instances where players have known, well, they'll get rid of him before me. So that's, and I'm not saying that that's something that would be in the minds of any Canucks, but if they give Travis Green an extension, it at least gives him some peace of mind and some stability behind the bench for the Canucks. I would expect that they'd sign him to an extension. I don't blame Green for the struggles of this team. I never really have. In fact, I find I get less angry with Travis Green than I used to with Alain Vigneault when he was in Vancouver. There would always be that one thing where you go, well, why is he in the lineup? That just seemed to happen a lot. I know it happens with Green at times, but it happened seemingly all the time with Vigneault. Vigneault, though, was a very good coach, and I enjoyed his time in Vancouver, but there would always be that one player that I would think, I don't know why. So for people online that have complained about that for years in Vancouver, yeah, I was one of them. I used to be on the Canucks forum making those posts about I can't believe he's in the lineup. And it would vary from year to year which player it was that would happen with. I've not had that problem with Green. I've seen people complain about how he deploys certain players, but I really haven't had a problem with him. Of course, this happened yesterday. I mentioned it in the review last night, the massive review. The first of what will be a few massive reviews this year. And Vegas's entire coaching staff has been put in isolation. I think the alarming part is that it's we know that there's at least one positive test, but the fact that GM Kelly McCrimmon said most didn't test positive makes you go, so is there more than one? Now, none of the players tested positive, so this may have been headed off that way. But yeah, the entire coaching staff's in protocol. So you've got Kelly McCrimmon behind the bench and the AHL crew helping out. McCrimmon does have experience as a coach, and of course, being an AHL coaching crew means you've coached before. But it had to be tough for them last night to just be okay, and you're thrown to the wolves. Maybe it's a bit easier that there aren't fans in attendance for something like that. Maybe coming out and not having 17,000 people screaming, maybe that makes it a little bit better, where you can just kind of like it's a scrimmage game and just play it off like you're not on camera kind of thing. But yeah, so Vegas, we'll see how long DeBoer and the coaching staff are out for. You've got to think it's going to be for a while. And yeah, so this season just gets stranger. Speaking of this season, tonight's games, the Vancouver Canucks are at home against Ottawa, and Nashville's at home against Chicago. These games start a half an hour apart. Nashville-Chicago starts at 7:30 Eastern. Nashville will be looking to go a game above 500. Chicago will be looking to get their record back to a more respectable number, but I'm wearing Nashville. I think Nashville probably wins the game tonight. They were the much better team last night, and back-to-backs, I think it's going to favor them. And Vancouver's at home against Ottawa. The interesting thing is, so this game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 p.m. Pacific. There were people who, after that 7-1 win by Vancouver, all said, this Ottawa team sucks. This Ottawa team is just a crap team. Now, if Ottawa wins tonight, I'd hate to see the same people saying, the Canucks suck, this team's terrible. Okay, because, again, the Canucks were destroyed 7-3 by the Canadians, so they're not really in a position to have any kind of swagger. Like, yeah, look at that, we're 3-5. Yeah, those 3 wins were great. We don't want to talk about the 5 losses. We don't do math, so we don't really worry about which number's bigger. Nerds and eggheads. So the pressure's now on for Pierre Dorion. This is where it gets interesting, in that for the Senators, the expectations are a little bit higher this year. Not necessarily playoffs, but if this team over a 56-game schedule wins 8 or 10 games, that's going to be considered a huge disappointment. And so the questions get asked about the coach and who he's putting in the lineup, and about the general manager and the players he gave his coach to put in the lineup. So this is where things get interesting. If Vancouver wins all 3 against Ottawa, if Ottawa leaves Vancouver, say 1-5-2 or 1-6-1, yeah, there's going to be some questions asked. And I get the feeling that based on Eugene Melnyk and what he said before the season about how he expected to be more competitive, and this is kind of where he expects things to start building up, he'll be asking some questions too. Because if Ottawa takes a step back this year, that doesn't necessarily bode well for how soon they're going to be in contention for a playoff spot. This is supposed to be the year they're getting better. So we'll see what happens tonight, and we'll see whether or not the Canucks can continue to take advantage of what might be a team that's in more disarray than they are. And again, this is just, you have to jump on them early. You have to make them doubt themselves, and go from there. So I don't know who's going to win tonight, but if Ottawa wins, we'll see how many people are then going, see, I knew the Canucks weren't any good. And if it's the same people that said, it doesn't matter if you beat Ottawa because Ottawa sucks. And then it's one of those things where, again, if you lose to certain teams, you're going to be told your team sucks. If you beat certain teams, those exact same teams, that you'll be told, well, it doesn't matter, that's nobody. Okay. Now, of course, for Toronto fans, this came out yesterday as well, that Hutchinson is going to be their backup for a few weeks here while Campbell's out. What's interesting with Campbell, though, is that it is a leg injury, is what they're reporting. The leg injury would have been the hyperextension that it looked like he suffered in that game against Calgary before Tkachuk's, falling on him. And whether you think he was trying to murder Campbell or whatever, okay, fine. But Tkachuk, it doesn't sound like the injury is related to Tkachuk falling on him. So the injury, it sounds like, was happening before then, and that would be what to me appeared to be a hyperextension. But we'll see. We'll see how long he's out. Hutchinson showed in the playoffs for Colorado he can play. I know there will be those who get nervous, but he can play over short periods. And I thought last night was another good game for Freddie Anderson. Anderson has turned it around after a slow start, so no need to panic yet. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. And thanks to all of the new subscribers as well. The subscriber counts have been going up pretty steadily, about 5,000 in the last 30 days. Thank you guys so much for that. It's humbling, and I'm very grateful. So, hey, I will talk to you guys again soon.